Hello, this is Dana Smith. Welcome to my new YouTube channel, Universal Consciousness. And you can find me on my new YouTube channel, Universal Consciousness. Today we're here to talk about universal consciousness and how it can work for you in your everyday life. And we are here with my good friend, Dee Mcfadden. Receive good vibes. Hi, Dee. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you for having me on. Today is a really special day because we're going to talk about something that many years ago when I was starting my path down learning about energy, I used to hear people talking about the universe, and I really wasn't quite sure what that meant. And it took me a little time to kind of understand and embrace that. So pretty much universal consciousness is the universe is listening. And what we say and the energy that we put out is very powerful. And we could either lead down the path of negative energy or positive energy. So for instance, when COVID hit, the first 2 weeks, like many of us, I was feeling very anxious. And I woke up one morning and I said, you know what? I refuse to feel like this. I'm usually a very positive person. And I'm letting the fear and I'm letting this negative energy overwhelm me. I am going to put out nothing but positive vibes. I'm going to do nothing but think positive. And if I start to go down that path where I'm looking at something from a negative standpoint, I'm going to stop myself, hit the pause button, and I'm going to regroup and change that. So here's my, for instance, of that morning. There were things that I needed, and I was watching the news, and I'm like, I don't have wipes, and I don't have masks. And I said, okay, I'm just going to stop myself. What do I have? So every time I went through the day, I would just stop and say, what do I have, and what can I do? And I did that in my work relationships, as well as at home, with COVID, with family members and friends. And it's really been very helpful for me because as I would stop and correct myself, I would realize that the minute I started taking the negative and focusing on the positive, I was calm, I was focused, and so many positive things were happening. So, I like to say, don't believe everything you think. Sometimes we have to refocus and reshift. Our thoughts and our words are very powerful, and they can set the tone as far as what we can or can't do. So when I used to think like, oh, is the universe listening? What are these people talking about? I started to do some research, and I had met Dana. We formerly were colleagues. We both have our real estate licenses. And I remember one time she was talking, and I was giving a bunch of reasons as to why I couldn't do something. And she said, whenever you're faced with a decision or wanting to do something or a goal, all you have to ask yourself is a simple question. Is it possible?
Yes.
And it's just a yes or no answer. If it's no, perfect. But if it's yes, then that's where you have to start saying, okay, instead of what can I do, what can I do? Make baby steps. So sometimes maybe you can't go from point A to point B overnight or in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks, but you have to start laying the foundation, and you have to start asking the universe and telling the universe what you are worthy of having, because we all deserve it. And I think that's something that we all kind of struggle with at first. We don't want to seem greedy. We've got family members or friends who maybe are more in need of our time and our energy. And we kind of hold back, and we feel like we can't do certain things for ourselves. And I'm going to tell you that the universe is vast. She is listening. She is a warrior princess, and she wants nothing but the good for mankind. And she's sitting around just saying, hey, listen, just ask. I am here to give you what you ask for. If you ask, you will receive. So again, ask yourself, is it possible? Imagine it. Think about it. Feel it. Receive it. So this is called manifestation. And if we take this manifestation and we start believing that we're capable of these goals, and we start dreaming about them every day, because dreaming is what we called it as a kid. And many of our adult dreams stem from our childhood. And I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I used to read National Geographic. I used to have a stamp collection and a postcard collection. I would learn all the capitals. I would trace maps. I loved anything and everything to do with travel. Years later, unbeknownst to me, because I was majoring in business in college, I became an exchange student, and I also became a travel agent, and I traveled all over the world, about 30 countries, and I still have a long list of places I want to go. But it didn't come overnight. I kept dreaming about it. So I would dream as a kid. I would look through National Geographic and I would say, I'm going to go to London. Oh, I'm going to go to Paris. And I'd read everything about London. I'd read everything about Paris. And year after year after year, I would still visualize these things in my head. And I can say, those are two places that not only have I've been to multiple times. So that is, that's where you got to start. You got to start with your passion and your heart and your goals and make things happen. And you can make these things happen. You have to visualize it. Even if you go online and take a picture, hang a picture up in your office, focus on that. When you get kind of stuck in the course of your business day, just look at that picture and kind of disappear in it, kind of drift off, kind of like a daydream with your goal in mind. So you have to think very positive, and you have to stop speaking negatively. So, don't say things like, oh, I could never do that. I don't like to fly. I can't get on a plane. I don't have any money. I have no one to watch my kids. My husband won't let me go. I mean, if you keep telling the universe that you can't, you will never be able to, because you're right. She's listening, and you won't be able to because you've already told her over and over that you can't. But if you tell yourself that you can do something and you fixate on that, we see it with athletes. So, why can't we do the same things? So I would think about all these places I want to go to. And I was in high school and a trip came up for overseas. And I asked my parents if I could study in Europe. And, my father said, we don't have that kind of money. And I said, well, what if I was able to get that kind of money? And he laughed because it was $2,000 in the time that a brand new car was about $8,000. So that was a little far-fetched. And so he joked and he set a goal which he thought was unattainable. And all he said was, I'll give you half if you come up with half. Well, I came up with half. I babysat. I took shifts from coworkers. I cashed in my bonds. I worked as much as I could. I used my savings. That was my dream, and I was going to make it happen. And I dreamt it every day. And then there I was, studying in Spain, spending the entire summer there. And it was the most amazing experience. And then from there, I changed my major and I traveled the world. So sometimes these manifestations take periods of time. And I think the reason it took periods of time was because, sometimes you're not making it happen. And what I mean by that is, we all have dreams and passions. And then sometimes adulthood gets in the way and we kind of lose track. So we block ourselves from dreaming about that, and we block ourselves from receiving that. And then in order to receive, you must put out good intentions, you must put out good energy, you must put out good karma, and you also must be respectful of others, and you must be grateful. You cannot take if you are not grateful and if you are not there to help others on their journey. So every morning, I always thank God for, the things that I plan on accomplishing the day. Even though I haven't even gotten there yet, I always set the intention that I'm going to attain those goals. Then before I go to sleep, I keep a gratitude journal. And I thank the angels every single night for everything that came my way that I was grateful for. Now, when I first started this, I would have something like, oh, my phone call went well with the client, or, it was a nice sunny day. But as I started to do this journal, I've done it about, I would say, over 10 years now. every single time that I would do this, there was more and more to add. And sometimes I'm like falling asleep practically, but there's still more to add onto that sheet of paper. So for instance, when I go now, a typical day, I might be driving and it's raining and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have a spot out front. And guess what? I pull up to the store and what's waiting for me? A spot up front. So now I acknowledge that the universe heard me, but I'm also going to put down, hey, thanks for the great spot, or thanks for the great dinner, or thanks for the client who canceled our meeting because I was running behind that day. So the more and more you start becoming conscious of what you are receiving and you're grateful for, the more it comes in. So I'll give you an example. I am a Mac girl, and I just got a Chrome notebook today. And yesterday, I got an email that says your Chromebook will be delivered at, tomorrow by 8 p.m. And I thought, oh, geez, 8 p.m. No, I'm going to have that Chromebook early in the morning because I have too much to do. And then I got an email today that said your Chromebook will be delivered this afternoon by 8 p.m. And I said, no, I'm going to have that Chromebook because I have too much to do. And guess what? At 11 o'clock, I had my Chromebook.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. But being a Mac girl and trying to navigate this world were two different things. And I was really kind of having a frustration throughout, for about an hour. And I thought to myself, all right, I'll just keep plugging away at this. And then by mistake, I hit the power button, which I know was not a mistake. It was the universe interfering and telling me that I just needed to stop, walk away, and do something else. So I said, well, I turned the computer off. I have to receive that as a message. And that's the thing I'm talking about too, with part of this manifestation is realizing when these moments pop up that the universe is kind of flagging you, that you may not fit. So I decided at that moment that I was going to take a walk, get some fresh air, clear my mind. And then this way, when I came back, I would go and I would sit on my computer and I'd start plugging away. Well, as I was walking around, I saw something on the ground and I found this rock. Okay, so I'm frustrated. I'm in need of some fresh air and fresh perspective. And I found this rock.
Oh, wow. And just breathe. How awesome is that? That is a message. The message, Dee.
And I started cracking up laughing. And I saw that as I was walking through my neighborhood, there were a few rocks. So, and the person who did this, shout out to Rockin' Marlton. She leaves these really great rocks that she paints. Wow. And she leaves them around. Good messages, good intent. And a lot of times a lot of them are kid oriented. And so I don't care. I have to take this home. So maybe after a while when I'm ready to part with it, I'll leave it somewhere and maybe somebody else walking down the street having a moment will just be able to breathe too. So here I am, trying to navigate this and the universe is trying to flag me, makes me hit the wrong button, turn off my computer, reset, go take a walk, fresh air, nature, always a great way to gain perspective. It's like starting your day all over. And then here as a reminder, the universe is telling me, like, stop focusing on the fact that you're getting frustrated and just breathe. So I thought that was really good. I said, oh my goodness, this is fantastic because I can't wait to share this with Dana today. And the same with what happened with my laptop. And then the day before that, I had gone to the market and I had forgotten to get 2 items. And I said to myself, oh, universe, I can't believe that I forgot laundry detergent and applesauce. And I said, oh, well, I guess I really don't need it. I'll just make do with what I have. And if I go to the market, I know I pick up some things for the lady who lives across the street from me. She's older, and whether she asks me or not, I always pick up 1 or 2 things, spinach, yogurt, things I know she likes, and I leave them on her door. And so I came home yesterday, and there was a bag. And I was like, what the heck is this? I had 4 items in it. It was from my neighbor. She was saying, I went to the market, and I'm just repaying the favor. And guess what was in my bag? Swear to God, wow. Applesauce.
Oh my God. The universe definitely listens to you, dude.
I total of 4 items there, but 2 of them. And I looked and I thought to myself, oh my God. And I laughed and I'm like, well, that's one for the gratitude journal for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Small scale, but I want people to understand that, you know, it is possible. It is possible to do. Any of us could do it. Don't think for 1 minute that, it doesn't work, or that, that's for somebody else, or, I'm not a positive person. You have to learn to be a positive person, but by doing what we're talking about, you're actually training your brain to do positive things, to think positively. And so, we have to watch our words. If we keep saying things like, I can't, things like that never happened to me, guess what? That aren't going to happen to you. But if you say, you know, I'm having a bad day, but I'm not going to end my day this way, you shift the consciousness, a positive vibe. And then you have to start to say, this is what I'm going to do. And the universe says, oh, okay, then let's do this. So, this is very, very powerful. And I feel like I wasted so many years not believing and not doing. And now I see it, I see it in the grand scale of things that I do, and I see it in the small things that I do. I mean, when I saw that laundry detergent and that applesauce, honest to God, I was like, okay, like, do I have a camera in my apartment? Like, is somebody watching me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how would anyone know this,
Right, yeah.
And she said that they were on sale, and, she just thought she'd pick them up. Everyone's doing extra laundry, and she knows Mom likes the applesauce. And I was like, it just blew my mind, but it's very, very important that we start, stop talking negatively about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Because our spirit doesn't know the difference. And so, we put ourselves down. And I think even more so as women, because men kind of don't do this. Like, if a guy's venting to another guy and he's like, oh, blah, 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 he vents and the other guy doesn't say, yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but I find that women more so suffer from self-esteem than men. I think men look at each other, they're like, okay, yep, okay, you okay, buddy? All right, and they move on. Where women, we're still internalizing it. And so, people can think sometimes they're not smart enough, they're not thin enough, they're not rich enough, and, or they're too shy, they're not outgoing, they're not good at something, I can't cook, I can't do this. And you have to just stop that. And you have to say to yourself, you know what? I am good at cooking. And you know what? I'm going to watch some YouTube channels. Or, you know what? I am thin. And you know what? I'm going to get thinner because I'm going to watch some videos. I'm going to call a friend and ask them to go take a walk. There's so many things that you can do, but you have to stop yourself when you start talking about negative things. And you have to hit that pause button, and you have to reshape your brain, and you have to take your goal and move it along. Like, sometimes you're working in your office, and I know this is for me, everything's going good, and then I'm trying to do little things. I feel like I'm doing 10 things at once and nothing's getting done. And I'm like, oh, I can't get anything done. I can't get anything done. And you know what? I spent another hour doing the same thing because I'm telling the universe I can't get anything done. But if I say, angels, could you please help me with this? Angels of communication, angels of knowledge, or, you know what? I know that this is something that needs to be put on the back burner and will be finished later or tomorrow, but I'm going to shift my focus on doing this. And I stop then and there, and I ask the angels for help when I'm done with the task that I'm doing and saying, angels, I'm going to go back to doing this. I took a little time away from that. Universe, please, with your grace, please let me see this from a fresh perspective. And I usually sit down and figure out how to do it. So again, you have to start thinking, you have to start believing, you have to start realizing that you're worthy and that you deserve it. And, be sure to make sure, that when you're speaking to someone or speaking to friends, stop with the negative reasons why you can't do something, and start thinking, well, you know what, that's my goal. There's 10 steps. I can't do 9 of them. Okay, you can't do 9 of them. Can you do 1? Then you do 1. And then after you do 1, you say to yourself, okay, what else out of these 9 things can I do? And say to the universe, I've got this. This is my goal. This is what I plan on doing. If, I may have to take it step by step, and I'm going to do that. And I know that you're going to guide me and be there. And I know that I'm going to do this next step. And then every day I think about that next step. I'm having coffee in the morning. I'm like, okay, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And I start, kind of like daydreaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it like gains momentum. And then you'd be surprised of the things that where you get an email or somebody in conversation brings up something and it pertains to the thing that step that you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're flabbergasted. You're like, oh my God, like somebody just gave me an idea. Or I was just thinking I had to research that and somebody was talking about that. And now I have that piece to the puzzle. So, the universe is listening and you have to be positive and you have to ask specifically for what you want, but you have to be grateful for it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dee, that is wonderful. And I'm so happy that you shared your experience with us today, because I'm sure your experience will help others learn how to have more control over what it is that they're thinking, how they can interact with universal consciousness to get the things that they desire to have. I mean, because it's so important, because some people just, stumble over themselves a lot more than they should. So I really appreciate you sharing with us today, and another thing that you said too is let me think for a second what it is you said, because you said so many great things. You gave us so many great nuggets that actually can help other people along. And I really appreciate that, and also it gives people something to think about. Okay, something to think about. And I would like this to be open up for other folks to also share in the conversation. Share in the conversation. And even if they don't share in the conversation of universal consciousness on our platform here today, they can start thinking about it on their own and have little they can start doing little have their own experience with how the universe works by having their own experiments, So like you said, those baby steps, like you said, those steps.
Absolutely. I mean, even prayer, prayer is a form of manifestation. I mean, if you are a person of faith and you're speaking to your higher power, I mean, it's that conversation you're asking, and you're asking also to receive. But, you can start with just a simple notebook or a sticky note. And you could even put like, I want to do this, and put some sticky notes on your wall, generate some ideas, and then break them down. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, I mean, you build up to this, you learn kind of how to do it. When you fall down, it's okay. Don't say to yourself, it's not working, I tried, I can't. Just say, you know what? I need to step back. I need to revisit this, or maybe there's a couple of things I need to do first in order to get there. I need to come up with a different approach, a fresh perspective. Maybe I need to do more research. Maybe I need more information. Maybe I need some advice from some friends or family on how to do that.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times when you take one step, the universe actually moves in to help you achieve what it is you're trying to achieve. So the clearer you are in your intention, the quicker your manifestation will come. And also, even like you said, when it comes to doing the research and asking other people for help, that also sends out help to the universe as well, because the universe will also send people your way. It gives you resources and people to help you achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. Because a lot of times we can't do everything on our own. So that's awesome that you also shared that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. There's many steps. And again, I think a really important part of it for me is the gratitude journal, because if I forget a day or two to do that gratitude journal at night, I will tell you that I do not see those days following. I do not see the same power of what the universe is giving me.
Mm-hmm.
And my days are, they're just not as special. I don't walk around finding rocks. I don't find laundry detergent at my door. But when I start, once I get back in the groove and I start thinking about my day and what I'm grateful for, and asking in the morning what I would like for the universe to send, and the good vibes that, my good intentions of what I want to do for myself and for others, and doing that gratitude journal, it's like a wheel. It's like the wheel starts spinning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a breeze comes, and it's continual energy that's moving and flowing. And when you segment those things and stop doing some of the things, talking negative or talking yourself out of things, or not being grateful, or not setting the intention, or not asking, and not being ready to receive, and not getting the signal sometimes,
Right.
then, that
Mhm.
doesn't flow.
Right. Because gratitude is a high vibration. So you have that, because everything is energy. So with that high vibration, when you're grateful, it brings you more goodness. The universe just opens up more and just gives you more, because you have that high consciousness, that high energy vibration, where you open up to receive more just by being grateful. So that's
Absolutely.
so that's one of the great things about being grateful for the small or even the big things, just being grateful. And I used to always say that I had the attitude of gratitude. Yeah. So
And for some people that may take work. You know what I mean? We're all wired differently. We all have these times in our lives where, things flow easier, and other times they don't, or,
mhm,
things in our life that we're dealing with. But I will tell you, if you start making these small steps with
mhm,
anything you're going through, or, just with your days in general, you
yes.
will find that they become easier, lighter, happier. And when you are overwhelmed, or you start thinking negative, enough to hit the pause button and kind of change the energy to flow in a different direction. And I think that's the key. So don't be frustrated if you haven't done this, or you haven't thought to do it, or you're not sure how to do it. Everybody can do this. Everybody just has to start with the belief that they deserve it. You know, Find your passions, big or small, navigate your days more peacefully. Let the energy flow, be positive, focus, and be grateful to receive.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dee. I really appreciate. I really appreciate you sharing your experience with us and the many people that's going to be watching. So please, at any time, join me on my new YouTube channel, Universal Consciousness. Thank you, Dee.
My pleasure. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Be blessed. Bye bye now.
Bye.